So today on RC Guy Garage, what we're doing is obviously been working on the HoBao EPX semi-truck. That's, obviously 110 scale, four-wheel drive, electric, belt-driven, which this thing is literally going to be a screamer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple of things that I have decided, I guess on my end, what I'm going to put into my truck, and I'm going to share that with you right now. So we went ahead and we just had to go ahead and get a real good servo. One of those ones. You can see that it's the Ryan Cavalieri edition, which it just, I don't know. It's just supposed to be quick and fast. It didn't need like a massive amount of torque because obviously we're working with something that's going to be, lightweight anyway. And with the way that the front end already itself moves, it's very lightweight. So yeah, just like Ryan. Anyways, we actually did decide to go ahead and go with a SPEKTRUM receiver with the AVC. The reason why that is that I have not driven on road in quite a while, and one of the things that I plan on doing some speed runs with this thing at some point, and also I'm going to be doing some drifting. Now, I don't know if AVC is something that is actually going to help with drifting. For some reason, in my mind, I think it will, but I have no idea. I'm like one of those ones that, with AVC or any kind of assisted steering or whatever, it's usually cranked all the way off. I'm used to just, handling it myself. I mean, I'm sure it's nice for 100 mile per hour passes, but that's not just yet. So, yeah. Anyways, I'll show you what we're going to do as far as power goes. So we did go ahead and go with the HOBBYWING Easy Run Brushless System Combo, which consists of, boom. So it's got a max 10, 60 amp ESC, right there, you can see that, max 10, suitable for 110 sport or race. And then it's the 3652, obviously, yeah, brushless motor. It's not like you needed to know that, but anyways, it is a 5400 kV, and I figured for this little, I guess you want to call it, I'm kind of calling this thing already the Rocket semi-truck, or yeah, Rocket the semi-truck. I think something along those lines. I have no idea. I guess we're going to start installing the electrics. So if you're interested in watching this episode of RC Guy Garage, let's electrify this thing and see if we can actually get this bench run. So obviously we'll kind of open this, I guess, in line. So this is the Ryan Cavalieri edition SAVOX servo. I don't know how to pronounce it. Looks like it says SAVOX. I don't know, something like that. I think that's how you pronounce it. But comes in a nice little case right here. And it was basically just a, I guess you want to say, fast servo, which was what I was looking for, something that's more, I guess, performance-oriented, and which is obviously pretty cool, is that also comes with some nice stickers that we're going to be slapping all over the EPX truck, and it's got a very short wire, which is exactly what we need. Hopefully my receiver is actually going to be close enough to actually just plug into it and just boom, just be done with it. But it is a, it actually feels like it's a semi-hefty servo. Very low profile, all metal gear, obviously. But yeah, so there we go. Comes with obviously a bunch of servo horns, but I don't think we're going to need any of that. And then mounting screws, and obviously the little rubber isolators that it has. Yeah, so yeah, that's it. Ryan Cavalieri SAVOX digital servo, and the number on that is SB-2263MG-CE. So that's it. Then went ahead and, like I explained to you, we did go ahead and get the SPEKTRUM receiver, and that is because, well, I'm going to be using one of my SPEKTRUM remotes, just so that I have, I guess, the ability to have the AVC. And this is the 6-channel, which it's no big deal. It could have gone with 2, 3, 4 channel, but at least this right here, if for some reason I ever need to use it for something else, I'll have a 6-channel receiver. And that is the SRS 6000, and that's with AVC. And it's obviously a surface receiver, so yeah. So that's that from SPEKTRUM. And then inside here, looks like we've got the SPEKTRUM instruction manual. I don't know why, like, we need that, but yeah. So there's that. Kind of wish they gave me some sticky tape for this, but they didn't. You figure something out. And then in this box right here, I think I talked about this on the live. So this is obviously the Easy Run Max 10, which is a 60 amp. Obviously it says suitable for 110 sport and waterproof. Not that that matters, but you know, that's what's in here. HOBBYWING, very good quality. It is what I call a little itty bitty ESC because it is tiny. I mean, look at the thing. Things micro compared to what I'm used to. I mean, I'm used to just monster truck stuff, you know. This thing is like, I'm afraid I'm going to break it by touching it, but it's not going to happen. I mean, just feeling this in the hand, it just feels very solid as far as its construction. I already know that it's proven, so. But there you go, right there. HOBBYWING, Easy Run Max 10. And those actually come with, like, you know, what we already know. It does come with some double-sided sticky tape, not only for the switch, for the power switch, but also comes, you know, with double-sided sticky tape. That is for the ESC itself. And here's the crazy part. Almost looks like there's enough sticky tape on here to probably be able to mount the receiver. Thanks, SPEKTRUM. I think you should have given me, like, some sticky tape for this. That's kind of lame. There's your program wire, a couple zippy ties. They give you an extra fan. And they give you some heat shrink tubing. Looks like a couple extra screws for, I have no idea what the screws would be for. I have no idea. So anyways, so that's what's in that box. And then here's the beast. So here's the motor that's actually going to be powering that truck right there. And I decided to go ahead and go with a 5400 kV because, well, that's just how I wanted to do it. I wanted to get, you know, just a little bit of speed out of this thing. It's a little bit above what was recommended, but if I need to dumb it down, I can. Dumbing it down meaning if I need to, like, detune it, I can slow it down a little bit, or I can just slow it down with my trigger. But, yeah, I have a problem with that. It's usually just full throttle. So, I mean, you've probably seen my videos, right? Burnout. Get a look at what the motor looks like inside this box right here. So there you go. Easy Run 3652, and that's the 5400 kV. Obviously, you know, on the motor itself, it does have the temperature sensing wire, which will connect right up to the ESC. So yeah, I don't know. Pretty cool tech, you know. Probably going to end up keeping these wires, this long pigtail on here. I'll have to figure out a way to manage the wires just a little bit better. You know, we'll figure out something. We'll make it look nice. But that is from HOBBYWING, and that is the Easy Run 3652 5400 kV. Yeah, you can probably see it right there. So that's what's going to be powering this beast. So let's get rid of these boxes here. See what else is in here. Oh, look at that. So inside this box, in case you had larger pinions like what I do have, so it actually did come with its factory pinion, which is this one right here, which is it's a 3mm shaft. This right here will turn the 3mm shaft into a 5mm shaft. So that's actually pretty cool that they actually provide this in the box so that you can use maybe 5mm pinions that you maybe already have, like pretty much what I already have. So yeah, perfect. Thank you HOBBYWING. So now it's just cleaning all this garbage up, and then I guess what we'll do is we'll mount the servo first. Why not? I mean, that's going to be the easiest. It's the one that's kind of like in the way. It's got a lot of stuff in the way. We'll mount the steering servo first, and we're just getting into it. We're going to electrify the HoBao 4-wheel drive EPX semi-truck. All right, so now it's kind of like, I guess, time to rip into this thing. This thing just glides so smooth. Like, when you're not hearing any, you know, because it's belt drive, so the thing is damn quiet. And I wonder if it's going to have like that Schumacher, like when I was a kid, I wonder if it's going to have that Schumacher belt whine. If it does, man, that is going to sound so mint. Set it up. Pop the pins. Set those aside. And what's nice about this body, it's basically like a lift up and forward, and it pulls away, and it's a pretty cool setup. So now that we've got this thing, you can see my like disaster over there. So now we got this thing like pretty much, I guess you want to say, ready to electrify. Now the fun part, right? So we've got all these parts that we got to figure out, how we're going to install them, how we're going to like position things like where we're going to put the switch, how we're going to do the cable management. And I think I have already a pretty good idea of how I'm going to want things. And I guess one of the things that we should probably look at, like step number 1, is actually measuring. I'm going to put the body back on, but measuring from any interference part of the body, which like that's why it matters, because of the way this motor is. We might end up putting it to the side, probably like this, which will probably take care of that. But there is a curiosity factor of what's the clearance or what's the distance between, I guess you want to say, the top of the chassis to the underneath part of the body. So let's check that out. So this body actually goes on pretty easy. Just like that. And then you just locate the back pins. And you're done. And what we're going to do is not supposed to be seeing those stickers, but whatever. That's my design. So we'll lay this down. This is our operation mat. Tip it upside down. And then what we want to see, because everything is going to be, because everything is basically going to be on this side as far as electronics. So what I want to do is I want to measure like to see what we've got for any interference. Because that, to me, that's a pretty major thing. As it would have it, I cannot find a tape measure right now, and I can't find my precision ruler. So we're going to use my CRKT knife. And all we're going to do is basically going to touch the actual chassis, and we're going to slide it until it hits the body, and we're looking at basically the top of the C. So where the body starts is actually where that C begins. So as long as we're underneath that section right there, we're good to go. So yeah, that's how I measure stuff. Flip this thing back over. Retake off the body, which is very easy. Just lift and pull away. And now what we'll do, we'll set it up so that I guess maybe, I don't know, can you see it like that? Yeah. So here's what we got. All right, put the car there. Here's what we got. So inside this box right here, we now have my servo, my SAVOX servo. We've got the SPEKTRUM AVC receiver, and then just stuff that we kind of don't need. This is actually from the servo as well, same as this little pack right there, and then obviously the bind plug is from the actual receiver. I do know that HoBao gave me a way to be able to mount what looks like, when you look in this package, it looks like you got these little black washers, you got the silver washers, you've got, obviously these are the cap screws for the motor itself. You got a couple of nylocks, which those must be just extra nylocks, and a couple of just various different screws in here. Yeah, so, and what the heck is that? It looks like that's some kind of a center body post mount or something. So we're just going to put those right here for now, because we may end up using some of those to install the servo, because what we're going to do is we're going to go after the servo first. So, and this is what's called a floating servo mount. The only reason why it's called a floating servo mount is because it's pretty obvious. It floats. So this whole section right here is just floating in the air. Yeah, so what we're going to do is, in order to fit that, what I am going to do is I'm actually going to take off the floating servo mount, and that's as easy as flipping this thing over and then going after right here, 1, 2, with a 2mm Allen. We're going to just buzz that off. This is also what connects to the belt tensioner as well. One, and then the piece should just drop on the ground. Boing. Perfect. Set those screws aside. Now what we want to do is, obviously, we know which way the way it was going. It was pretty evident. So now what we want to do is we want to figure out how we're going to fit the servo in there. And obviously, you can see it's got the cutouts. You see it's got the cutout there and the cutout there for the wires to actually go through. And yeah, that's the receiver. So with the way, obviously with the way this is designed, the servo is only going to go one way. So the servo, the actual horn is going to be on the outside edge. So that's pretty apparent. So we're going to go ahead and just kind of fit this in. See what it looks like for now. And yeah, that's pretty much how I want it. Now, inside of this bag right here, they give you a variety of different ways to attach it. They give you isolators, the rubber mounts. They give you those real wide cap head screws right there. They give you, you know, like wood screws and stuff like that, like if you were putting this in a model airplane or whatever. But pretty much whatever's in this bag, I don't think we need to use. What we're going to use is we're going to use these. I think these are 2mm, right? Yeah. So I'm going to use these 2mm screws right here. And we're going to actually attach the servo, because you can see already we got the servo in. You know, it doesn't matter that it's upside down. It's just is what it is. We're going to basically just thread these screws right into these holes. We're not going to lock anything down yet. And we're going to drop the screws. It's going to thread them into the holes. I'm not going to lock it down. We're just going to snug it. Because what I want to do is I want to kind of like get it centered after the fact. So once we get all 4 of our screws in there, then I'm going to make sure that it's even. And it's just that kind of, I guess, trying to be like, you know, a perfectionist here, because we're kind of going all out on a couple of things here. Might as well just, you know, keep that mode going. Now, stuff like this, I'd prefer to do by hand. You know, not using a driver, because when you're dealing with all this plastic stuff, man, you strip this stuff out, you're screwed. You don't want to be stripping anything out. So anything that you're doing here, nice light tension. No Arnold Schwarzenegger strength needed. Looks like we're good right about there. And then what I can see is that there's an obvious gap in between the servo and this plate, and I want to retain that gap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push the servo down towards the base. And then I'm going to tighten the top screws. One there. One there. Crank it down. Crank it down. It's literally by feel. Crank this one down. You know when to stop. You could so easily overcrank this. You don't want to do that. So you can see we actually have, see the gap? See how like you can see the gap in between? And that's what we want to have. So kind of like, I guess you want to say it isolates maybe that kind of like vibration or anything going from here to there or something. I don't know. That's just a theory. Maybe it's just providing air. So yeah, so that's cool. So that's all set. So now what we want to think about is obviously want to think about, you know, the receiver. So now we obviously know where this mounts. We know it mounts like that. We know they got the wire coming around the back. We're probably going to want to mount the receiver somewhat like maybe like that right there. Is I'm guessing? That kind of looks like that would work. So we want to mount it like this. That way also the wire will actually reach. So why don't we go ahead and do that right now? We're going to take the sticky tape that came with the actual HOBBYWING itself. Right here. And you can see it came with sticky tape for the switch. And it came with enough sticky tape, which we already kind of checked that out. Come on. Waste my time with a Ziploc. Oh, it come with cable ties and everything in there. Alright, cool. So, what we want to do is we want to make sure that we obviously have enough sticky tape for the actual speed control itself. And because I like to do things kind of like that symmetrical, you know, whatever way, I just want to make sure that I have enough tape that's actually on this to actually affix it, and I don't want it to be near the holes that are right there, so I'm actually going to keep that back a touch, like that, and then I'm going to mark it, and I'm just going to cut it. So what I could do is I pretty much just mark it right like that. All right, see that little mark that we put right in there? Then I'm going to cut it straight across. And that should leave enough for the receiver. Check that out. Perfect. And also, it's absolutely enough for the speed control. Look at that. Stealth. We're gonna take our lacquer thinner, and I'm gonna dress prep the this top surface here. Make sure there's no oils there, and I'm also going to. Is that sticker on there pretty good? Seems like that sticker's on there pretty good. So we're not going to worry about that sticker right there. But we will just very quickly kind of like just dress it up a little bit. And just remember, on this lacquer thinner, a little goes a long way. So we're just going to just kind of just clean prep that. Then we just give this a quick little wipe like that. Perfect. I'm going to take the stick tape. Now what I do is I fold it half back, right? That way you've got something to hold on to as I guess you're aligning it onto whatever you're aligning it onto. And just going to stick it just like that. Just make sure you press it right on there. See? There we go. Isn't that funny? You can actually see, you can see the actual sticker itself underneath. So now that we know this is all prepped up, now we know we want it, you know, facing this way. The way the wires are going to reach, there'll be no issue. Now it's just probably wanting to centerize it just because of the way, you know, I like things to be. So we'll peel off the sticky tape off of here, and this is for setting the receiver. So there's no half back on this. And literally what we're going to do is we're literally just going to line it up just like this and then stick it. And we'll press it on. Just keep a nice solid tension on it for a little while. You know, not crushing it, but you know, you want to squeeze it on there. And there we go. So now what we can do is go ahead, and what's nice, right? So there is no guesswork. So it says STR right there. And that does mean steering. So we're actually going to go ahead and plug in the steering right there. Now look at that. Look at how that cable management works. That is actually absolutely perfect. Look at how nice and tight and compact that is. I'm liking that. So now we'll go ahead and we'll reinstall it back onto the chassis. So we're going to flip it back over. We're going to locate our holes. We're going to grab our screws. Screw them on down and in. Just snugged. Get our other screw. Locate that hole. Remember, no Arnold Schwarzenegger strength here. Not necessary. There. Good. So we know that's all set. We got a little belt tensioner. Make sure that that's aligned on there. You have to make sure you do that. You could push the belt up and under, you know what I mean? But, you know, why over-tension the belt if you don't have to? There's obviously going to be probably a certain amount of break-in too, I'm assuming, on that. But when you're looking at that, cable-wise, that actually looks really mint. So for now we're just going to leave it loose. But It's actually kind of floating both ways. So we're floating off of the chassis itself, and we're floating kind of like on the bracket too. So now, probably what we're going to want to do is either do a combination of throwing the motor in, right? Because obviously, you know, we got a bunch of holes. We got 6 holes that we'll be able to align up to the 2 holes that we've got right here, okay? So what we're going to do is we're just going to take that off. Take the motor and basically just, we're going to want to kind of, I guess, have the wires, I want to say kind of facing that way because, yeah, because probably what we'll do is I will probably loop the wires down and in like that. Kind of like give it like a loop. See what I'm saying? We'll see. Maybe it'll go the other way. Yeah, well, actually, we'll probably go this way. Yeah, it seems to work. Check that out. All right, so now we just got to get our motor screws. We know our motor's going to be kicked kind of like at an angle like that right there. The wires are going to be facing that way. So now what we have to do is just get our motor screws and kind of just, I guess, set it in place. We're bumping it up a notch to a 2.5 for those motor screws for the HOBBYWING 3625. So we're going to use actually the black washer because when you look at the holes, the hole for the silver washer is a lot smaller than the black washer, so the black washer is the motor screw. Need it to be magnetized, but we'll kind of stuff our fingers in there. You see the motor's hanging. We get the next screw, 2.5, little tiny black washer. We'll stick that on. Vector's driving the body around. And then we'll go for the lower hole here, which this Velcro strap is actually in the way, so get that strap out of there. Get it out of the way for now. Come on. These micro fingers here. I don't have micro fingers. So give me a hard time. There we go. You'll be able to locate the hole. Just take it forever. Come on, there's the hole. Right there. Locating the holes is kind of tough because it's, you know, you're kind of semi doing it blind. And again, we're just going to snug this up. Just like that. So now the motor's in. You know what would be cool is if we could have this fan cooling the actual motor itself. Wouldn't that be a riot? Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to set the pinion anyway, just because. So we're going to set the pinion in there for now. That was a 15-tooth pinion that actually came with it. Flash on because I was realizing every time I got close to the camera that there wasn't enough light, so now we have enough light. The pinion set screw takes a 2.0, little pinion set screw right there. And I am actually going to Loctite this now because this I'm not intending to move. Find the flat spot for the motor. So you can see you got the flat spot for the motor actually facing up. Now I'm just going to kind of just do things light for now. So we're going to slide our motor forward a little bit so we get an engagement. Just a touch. Tighten down our pinion just so it's on that flat spot on the motor. I'm going to drive it in and we're going to line it. We're actually going to line it this way. Come on, get in there. So obviously we're going to line up the pinion and the spur kind of like in this direction here. And then what we'll do is obviously I will set the actual pinion mesh how I like it to be. So, but that's secondary. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to tighten up this pinion. Now that we know that that's where we want that to be, give it a nice little crank. I'm going to slide the motor forward so that it's touching the gears. and give it some rotations. And I'm just going to slightly just back it off just a touch. Ooh, too much. There we go. Hear it? You hear that? That might be just a slight bit too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my my knife and just tap it in just a little bit. Hear that? So now, because we are there, got to move you out of the way so I can actually get in here and tighten these screws. So give that a crank, make sure. And I'm just going to snug this one down and double check. Yep. Give it a crank. Give it a crank. Then we're good. Now we've got our motor in place. We've got our servo in place. Our receiver. Now it's time to address where the actual ESC is going to go. And I think I've kind of already got that kind of planned out. So just because of that, centerizing thing that I like to do, I'm going to actually have my ESC centered within that little groove right there. So the ESC is actually going to be centered right in there. So what we'll do is we will clean off this bottom. We'll affix the sticky tape to it. Then we'll clean this section off. And then we'll very carefully place the ESC down right on top of the chassis. Wear gloves when you're using this stuff. We'll give it a quick little wipe. Boom, just like that. Wipe it off. Done. Quick little wipe actually on here. Just to dress it up. Look at that. See the stuff that came off of that? That's off of the chassis. Do how like I showed you. Do the half back. And then what we'll do is we'll just very carefully align this on the back of the ESC. Pretty much like right there. And you can peel the rest of it off and apply it down. Just like that. Now we can peel this off. Peel the red off. Now, this is where, I'll probably get in your way, but I'm okay with that. Because what's more important to me is making sure that I centerize this, because I'm very, I need this, to be perfect. So, I'm going to settle it down. Make sure. And then give it a press. Just keep it down for a good amount of time. I want to make sure that that thing settles on there nice. There we go. ESC is installed. We'll leave our temp wire for last, because what I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to wrap it around the wires. So we're going to leave these wires all the way forward so that we can figure out what we're going to do with those going forward that way. As far as these wires go, yeah, it's as easy as literally going A, B, C. And if you look at the actual ESC, the ESC shows you right in there, A, B, C. So it's a no-brainer. So we're going to plug in A, B, C. Because of the way I am and how I want my cable management. How do I want to do this? I feel like I want to loop them, but looping them seems like a little bit of a pain in the neck here. If I leave it like this. Yeah, you know what? I think that'll work. If I have to zippy tie him down flat, I'll still be able to. Yeah, that works. Oh yeah, that'll work mint. Perfect. So here we go. Motor's all connected to the ESC. Now we got our temp wire. Not sure how I want to do my temp wire. Maybe what I'll do is I'll zip tie like that. So I'll connect up the sensor right now, which, man, you need. How the heck can you see that? So it looks like the sensor goes in like that, I think. Hey, look at that. Sensor's in. Yeah, that works, I think. So because we're dealing with HoBao, I've got my HoBao blue zip ties. Just kind of make things look that much more snazzy. Just like that should work. Too tight, but tight enough. Like that. Now every mechanic loves it when you do wire ties and you cut them at like a nice 45-degree angle, so that when the unsuspecting mechanic comes in and tries to address something or fix something for you, and then they get sliced up by a 45-degree zip tie end, cable end. Yeah, every mechanic loves that. All right, so there we go. Electrified, tightened down. ESC is in. Receiver is in. Now we've got to obviously find a place for our switch, which is probably going to be, I have no idea. Mount our switch right on top of the on top of the I don't like that. I don't like that because that's too tight. Oh, let's figure this out. I pretty much think I figured out where I'm going to want the switch to go, and I do want it actually to be placed on top of the receiver, just like this. It actually has like almost like an inset, that sticker right there, and I think that's going to work out perfect. So what we'll do is we'll prep the bottom of the switch just like we have before. Make sure you wear gloves when using lacquer thinner or enamel reducer or whatever. I'm going to clean that off just like that. Give this a little touch just like that. And this one right there, this one might be a little bit tough to half back, but you can do it. Just half back it. Stick it right on. Peel it off. Peel off the red. And I've got my wire coiled. And then we are just going to stick it in place. Just like that. So there we go. Power switch is on there. Shouldn't have any issues with hopefully that going into the actual belt drive or anything like that. Looks like our wires should be fine. But I probably will take a zip tie and kind of just zip tie those together just to give a clean look. And of course, I'm going to use our HoBao blue zip tie. Just because. There we go. Perfect. Now we need to do is throw some ends on this. Figure out what we're going to do with our wire. I'm going to keep these over here by themselves. We'll wrap this coil down here like that. I'll put a zip tie through it. Just like, come on, big finger syndrome here, guy. Just a couple clicks. Should do it. Perfect. Well, not perfect, but close enough. Now we got our power wires that we got to run somewhere. And yeah. So there we go. The only thing we got to do now is we have to obviously solder on the positive and negative terminals, which we will use a Dean's connector. Or actually, should we use an XT? I have an XT60. So what we're going to do is we're going to move our car over. That way we can kind of share the space. We got that black shrink tubing in our red. And slide the black on first. Slide it all the way down. Same with the red. Slide it all the way down and out of the way. Make sure you get the proper connector for it. You want to make sure that you actually get the male connector and not the female connector, because if you put this on, you're screwed. This is the piece that actually goes on the battery. This goes on your ESC or your charger. So to kind of save yourself, go ahead and plug a connector in. That way it's nice and solid, okay? Don't plug a battery in. Kind of like my soldering station. Now when you do this and you look at these connectors, right? So like I'll show you like this connector up close, kind of like this right here. So this is actually going to be your negative side, which you can see there's actually a little positive on that side. There's a negative on that side. But the negative side you just know as the cutoff or arrow, where the positive is full power. So like full power, obviously it's that larger block, but it's easy just to look at it and you can see the positive. So here's our negative side, here's our positive side. And what we're going to do first is we're going to go ahead and kind of throw some solder inside these holes right here. So remember, negative side, positive side. Don't confuse the two. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of my paste, my soldering paste. I'm going to put a dab right in that socket. Put a dab right in that socket, just like that. And obviously just heat up your gun. And you're going to want to put solder on your tip if you don't already have solder on your tip. What we're going to do is we're going to put some solder in these wells for now. So I might be in the way, but that's okay. Let's see if I can get you in close so you can see what's going on here. You can watch some magic. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Put it right in the groove. Just feed some solder right into it. Filled. Takes a little while sometimes. There we go. I don't know how much of this is going to be on camera. You know what? What if I switch this around? Maybe you'll be able to see this way. I have no idea. But what's more important is me getting this soldered. Maybe this will work. Maybe I won't be in the way. I'm trying to do this on camera. It's a little difficult. Usually I do this in a vise. Negative side done. Flip it over to the positive side. Just keep in mind it's going to be hot. It's a little too much solder on this side. Eventually what will happen is it will just get hot enough where the wire will go right down inside just like that. Now that is actually a little bit too much solder on there, so I'll have to check it out, but I don't know, might be alright. So I just want to clean it up just a little bit. Now we can take our heat shrink, kind of push it down and in if we can, like that. Same thing with the black heat shrink. Do the same thing. Try to very quickly push it down and over. It's already... Just need to stretch the heat shrink just a touch so I can get it over the actual connection. Just down like that. Make sure you kind of just push it down the best you can. Like that right there. Now I just gotta take my heat gun and heat gun that. Start at the top, the way it shrinks it at the top first, and then just work its way down. And there you go. 10 minutes worth of trying to solder a damn connector on. But at least the connector's now on. XT60. Boom. Check it out. So now we've got our connector on. It'll be definitely enough to get it to wherever we have a battery going in. So there you go. We're all electrified. We're all ready to go. I actually did end up making an adapter, which, if you saw in the video, obviously I had said something about I was going to go with Dean's, and then I decided to go with XT60 because the battery that I knew that I was actually placing in here already had a Dean's on it. So I ended up making my own little connector. Now, if you do make a connector like this, you definitely have to figure out a way to isolate between the positive and the negative, because you're dealing with LiPo, you're dealing with any kind of a battery, any kind of anything. One of the major things is you don't want to short circuit. So I'll show you what I did. I made my own little, Dean's to XT60 connector, which what we're going to do is we are going to throw heat shrink over this, but we're also going to put a divider in between so that there is no, I guess possible arcing or anything that could potentially happen where something maybe gets in between the two connections and causes a short circuit. Because you cause a short circuit, you got something like this, you got nice electronics in it, you got actually a nice ride. I tell you right now, this HoBao EPX, what you don't know is that this has already been run. This is that kind of like after kind of deal where I did the electronics, I took it for a blast, I kicked its butt. I don't know if you saw the live, but on the live, it was obviously raw footage. You saw me pretty much say that, yeah, we're going to stay away from that jump, and then look what I did. As soon as I said it on the track, I hit the jump, the biggest jump that's actually in there. And the thing took an absolute beating, and it is not designed for that type of use, but it took it. So I think in one way, that shows that if you're considering maybe buying one of these HoBao EPX semi-trucks, don't be afraid, man, because if it went through the abuse that I just put it through, I mean, look at this thing. This thing is an absolute thing of beauty. Very well designed, very good layout, perfect as far as sizing. Battery fits absolutely perfect. We did run an Ovonics hard case, which is a 5200. It will take an Ovonics soft pack of a 8000 3S, which we'll be doing some runs on that too. Believe me. There's a reason why I've got this whole pile of tires right here, and you'll be seeing why. And I'm telling you, if it's going to take the abuse that I am going to put this thing through, this is already literally like, here's the part that you don't know. There's also a video coming up about this thing drifting. I have never drifted before, and granted, four-wheel drive drifting is a lot easier than two-wheel drive drifting because you've got front wheels kind of pulling you along, but it was a blast. This thing is going to be my drift machine. So what I'll probably end up doing is swapping between that body right there and then a surprise body that I actually get coming up for my HoBao EPX semi-truck slash, I don't know what you want to call it, rat rod maybe? It's going to be the HoBao EPX rat rod, or rat rod rocket, or rocket rad rod. I don't know. Rocket rad rod, rocket what? Rocket rat rod. Yeah, that's it. Rocket rad rod. So that's pretty much what the name of this thing is going to be. It's going to be the EPX rocket rat rod. Yeah. Sometimes it takes like a little bit of fumbling to try and figure out what you want the name to be, but electronics-wise, we're all set. And like I said, you're viewing the aftermath of what that thing went through. The only thing I got to say is if you're looking for a good on-road, flat track kind of vehicle, this is going to be it. At that $300 and sub $300 category for a roller, that right there, performance-wise, holy crap. The way this company constructs their vehicles, it was constructed to be able to move. And the thing moves. With a 5400 kV motor in there, and it can run on 3S with a 60 amp HOBBYWING. Yeah. So anyways, if you enjoyed these episodes from, obviously, RC Guy Garage, you already know what to do. I just keep telling you. Just do it. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell. Share the video. Just do whatever it takes, man. So, that's it. I'm out. Thanks for watching. Oh, yeah. Don't forget about that giveaway. Because the giveaway, or the announcement of the giveaway for the winner, is actually going to be happening this Sunday. I have no idea what time it's going to be, but that's the thing. That's why you need to be subscribed. You need to hit the bell notification. You need to share the video. Just do what the instructions said in that original video. Obviously, leave a link in the description so that you can actually go ahead and click that video. But just do what it takes. Win that giveaway. Even I don't even know what the giveaway is going to be. I mean, I know it's between 3 vehicles. We're going with Armor, Traxxas, and Red Cat, and then whether if it's brushed or brushless. And then point blank, the memory card. The memory card is the decider. So is it going to be a full memory card or an empty memory card? I don't know. Will that make a difference on how the thing flips? I guess you're just going to have to stay tuned and find out. Thanks for watching. I gotta tell you, man, this thing's actually not doing too bad. Now that I'm kind of getting used to what it likes for jumping, it's actually doing pretty good. I mean, look at how the body's holding up. The body's actually holding up mint. You know, we got a nice rub right there, the first rub, but the thing is actually doing really well.